Good evening. The opinions and statements voiced by our guests do not necessarily reflect the opinions of this network. Enjoy the shows.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk only on Paranormal Experience Radio. Broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
We've been expecting you.
Monday, time for our maven of the supernatural, Denise Pridemore. This is the Paranormal Pride. Join to listen and chat live on WBHM-DB.com or Spreaker app. Search WBHM-DB every Monday at 7 p.m. Central for your supernatural paranormal fix. Welcome to the Paranormal Pride, where the show is about the guest and the listener.
Welcome to the Paranormal Pride. I'm your host, Denise Pridemore, and my guest tonight is returning for either the third or the fourth time. I don't remember how many times, so it's Old Home Week. So we're going to welcome Mike Ricksecker back to the Paranormal Pride. How are you tonight, Rick?
Hey, Denise, Mike? Doing really well. See, even old friends make that mistake. It's hilarious.
Well, I'm looking at your name as I pull up one of the chats, and I see Rick, and okay, but that's okay. Everybody's going to laugh and go, oh, she knows who she's talking to, and I do.
Right.
But I know a lot has changed since the last time we talked. You know, you got to be on the Alaskn Triangle, and you have a new book out, and so we got a lot of things to talk about that we haven't talked about before, even though we have talked shadow people before, but we haven't talked about it in the sense of your new book. So
right.
We will be talking about all those different things. So I hope everybody forgives me for calling him Rick, because he's not Rick. So
you're forgiven.
And we're also going to talk about hopefully the Haunted Road Media Paracon at Mineral Springs 2020 coming up on amazingly, my birthday weekend in June, which for those of you who don't know, that's June 12th and 13th. My birthday is actually the 14th. So it'll be a great weekend for everybody. Hopefully, like I said, if we're listening to all the coronavirus stuff, we just got to keep praying for everybody that so far I don't know anybody myself personally who's sick with the coronavirus or who's been diagnosed. Do you?
I know one who is being observed for it right now. It's our friend, Dr. Heather Lynn, who is supposed to be on the show, our show, Edge of the Rabbit Hole, here at the end of the month. We've had her a couple of times on before, and she has her new book out, The Anunnaki Connection. She featured me in her book last year, Evil Archaeology, and so we hope that she's in the clear. She's still awaiting the test results, and hope that everything's all right with her, because she is one that does have a compromised immune system. She battles some I forget exactly what it is, but she battles other stuff already, and so we hope this is not the COVID-19 and just maybe the flu or something.
Well, what's scary is that the flu has killed so many people too this year. So hopefully that
more people actually, but
yeah, it is a lot. I mean, when you think about it, it's amazing that we're upset about this virus, but it's because this virus is so much more contagious than the flu, I guess. Or maybe because it's new and we don't have any way to deal with it. But yeah, those of us with compromised immune systems, we're at risk. And, that's part of the reason why we chose to stay home and not go on vacation. Hopefully we'll get to go in May or sometime, to see the kids. But, it is what it is. You got to do what's best for your family at a time like this. So,
yeah, exactly. And I hope, 2.5 months from now, when we have the 100 Road Media Paracon, that all this will be behind us and our Paracon will be okay. I know other ones have already been shut down, canceled, postponed, and what have you. So, we hope this is all put behind us soon, because it's affecting a lot of people. There's vendors at these conventions and Paracons that that's their full-time gig, is setting up shop and selling their, whether it's novelty items or books or stones or whatever. And now they're sitting at home not able to make anything. I guess some people are trying to sell some things online, and if you know somebody like that, please help support them.
Oh yeah, because I was telling somebody the other day, where with all the things going on right now, I'm very concerned about the people who get their food from the food banks. While we're all loading up we're able to load up our car with $150 worth of toilet paper and paper towels, some people are still getting their food from a food bank, and I did not see anybody adding anything into the food bank buckets when I was in there. So people, if you're out there and you want to give to somebody, give to the food banks, because they're really suffering. And some of the food banks also help the homeless shelters, at least here in Kansas City. I'm pretty sure that's everywhere. But that's where my fear lies, is for the people who are less fortunate. So,
oh, absolutely. There's
scary.
disabled people that get home deliveries, and right now people are having a hard time getting those home deliveries. So it's affecting a lot of people.
It is, and it's scary. And so everybody just say a little prayer for people that that might be affected. Check on the elderly, and if they don't answer the door, just yell through the door, and they'll yell back at you, let you know they're there. Because I don't know how a lot of this stuff's going to work right now, So, and I know we're all still working through it. So, none of us are wrong as long as we're not cuddling with a cold.
Yeah. This is new for us. Most of us were not around 100 years ago for the Spanish flu. So this is a new environment for many people, and people panic buy and things like that, because they think the end of the world is happening, and it's not the end of the world. You do have to be cautious, but yes, make sure your family's taken care of, but also keep in mind there are other families and people who may have some disadvantages that they need things too.
Oh yeah, and like I said, some of the things I've been watching are funny. Actually funny. And I'm seeing people that are getting along very nicely, at least in our area. Friday and Saturday when I was out, people seemed to be getting along and laughing, but then I'm seeing news stories of people fighting over toilet paper, and I'm like, I still don't understand that. But I guess if you think you're going to be locked in your house for 2 weeks, I think we're going to be seeing toilet paper online soon.
I kind of get. I actually get what happened there, and yeah, I've tried to have a good heart about it, and I've come up with some memes that I've thrown out there that are funny. But if somebody reports at their store or whatever, and I actually tried to search for where that originated to see if where did the news article come from, or was it a post somewhere or what have you? Because anybody could have said on social media, hey, I went to my store and I saw that they ran out of toilet paper, almost as like a joke or whatever. And then, that could have blown up and people ran with it. Oh, stores are running out of toilet paper. And what happens is people in the back of their mind are thinking, well, I've got 2 rolls at home. If everybody goes to the store and suddenly buys toilet paper, I'm not going to be able to have any when I actually legitimately run out. So then everybody goes and buys a bunch to make sure that they have toilet paper in case everybody buys at the store. And it snowballs.
Oh yeah. for me, it was I got to pick up extra Reese cups.
There you go.
I picked up extra. I have a whole purse full of junk food just in case, So, and I really don't eat that much candy. It's just I know I'm not going out, and I don't need to. I've got everything I possibly need, and except for now, I need cooking oil.
There you go.
But, my whole family is going to eat very well during all this. They're going to go back to how it was in the 70s when I was raised on Social Security because my dad was killed. And so we got all of our grocery shopping done at the beginning of the month. And so we would eat beans probably 5-6 days a month. And somebody asked me at the grocery store, well, what's the weirdest thing you ever ate? I said bologna, gravy, and brains and eggs. And they looked at me like I was nuts. But, it was common in Virginia at the time to eat that stuff. So I told my family, I said, I'm not going to do that to you, but you guys are going to learn how to frugally eat, so it'll be good.
Yeah, I mean, I can make a big pot of chili that lasts 3 days. You can do things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Well, I'm teaching them how to use leftovers.
There you go. Such a novelty, leftovers.
People don't eat them really anymore. They tend to make them and make dinner and eat what they're going to eat, and then the rest goes out. So I don't know. It'll be good, for all of us to learn a little bit of roughing it. Maybe it'll make us appreciate being able to go to Red Robin or Red Lobster once in a while, as opposed to when you can't go at all. So I guess it's going to teach us all to be a little bit more grateful. So at least that's what I hope. But let's get off of this subject because this subject is depressing. We're all listening to it all day long. Let's listen to something more fun. So the Haunted Road Media Paracon is June 12th and 13th, and admission for Saturday is $5. But this year you've added a few extra things. Instead of just having the investigation on the one night, you guys have stuff going on both nights. So why don't you explain?
Yeah, we've added a little bit of something to this. So Friday nights, what we're doing, we had done something just for the Haunted Road Media authors, our previous Friday nights, but we've kind of decided to open that up a little bit. We still have our private author dinner, but for Friday night, what we've decided to do is host a paranormal panel and a flashlight tour of Mineral Springs. And that whole thing, just that one particular night, is $20. So you can come in, get to listen to a panel of a bunch of great paranormal investigators and psychic mediums. Brandy Green from Ghost Hunters International is going to be there. So a lot of great people. And then after that, we have Dave Nunnally, the proprietor of It's Raining Zen, give his ghost tour. And so we'll turn on the flashlights and do the tour of the hotel. And it's only $20 for this one night. Now, if you get the whole weekend pass, which is $50, that also includes Saturday, which is our typical $5 admission for all the speakers and vendors and everything during the day, which runs 10 to 6. But then our paranormal investigation, which runs $40, you also get that. So basically, you're getting flashlight tour, paranormal panel, speakers and vendors, and the paranormal investigation, which is a $65 value for only $50. That's a whole weekend of entertainment, which that in itself, $65, even if you paid that whole price there, is actually really good for what you're getting. But you get the weekend pass, and it's only $50 for all of that.
Yeah, that is a good price. So, yeah, we're planning on coming again, as long as we can, and we're probably going over to McPike Mansion that night. Because we found out that's the night of her. She always does a tour the same weekend as my birthday. So that's, since you picked a different weekend than you did last year, she's got a tour, and she asked us to come over for that. And I was like, oh, okay, we'll be in town anyway.
Well,
so
I had to pick what was available.
Yes, you did. You had
Mineral Springs books up quickly.
Yes, and since it was on Ghost Adventures, it's booking up even faster. But, it was one of those places I knew about, what is it, probably 15, 20 years ago. So it's got an amazing history. And I know Dave Dave has done a great job of getting the valid history and presenting that as opposed to some of the stuff that that I used to hear back in the day that wasn't all together there.
Yeah, he really wants to make sure it's authentic, which is fantastic. And another thing that Dave is going to do for our paranormal investigation on Saturday night, we just kind of did it off the cuff last year, but we're actually working it into the schedule for the paranormal investigation this year. We're going to have Dave do his little history lesson of Mineral Springs there at the beginning, and then Coyote Chris Sutton is going to do the drum circle down in the basement following that. So all that's going to be a part of the paranormal investigation too, that first half an hour, and then we'll still have our 4-hour-long paranormal investigation following that.
We had last year at McPike, we actually had Chris do, him and I had talked about it on my show, and we did a drum circle in the basement at McPike Mansion, and it got a really good response. So anybody who's never witnessed it, you need to witness it, wherever you witness it at. But here's a really good shot of witnessing it at Mineral Springs in June. So try to make it, people. It's a good time. We have a great time with all the people, and I saw that all the vendor booths are sold out.
Yeah, we sold out of the vendor booths. Well, I mean, we might have one available because we had one person that did have to back out. So I'll have to check to see if that was accounted for, if we had somebody on a waiting list for that one. But we are filling up the room.
Well, that's good. And are you going to have music this time too?
We are. Now, here, I'll be quite open and honest about this. Everybody loves John Shanahan's music. Some of the common feedback I heard about it was that we love him, but it's a little loud. Because some people were having some, during their conversations, having problems talking across the table and hearing people. So John is still going to be there, but no amplifiers. He's just going to be straight acoustic guitar. And his voice carries, so it does. That's not a problem.
Yeah, I think that's good feedback, because I know that last year I had to work a table to help out a friend, and I noticed that it was very hard to hear the customer talk to me. So I think that's a good idea. That way you can keep the music and keep the feeling without everybody having to yell.
Yeah, because the music does actually create it enhances the atmosphere there. And there's another event that we're doing in August 22nd. Brandy Green's putting it on with her musician friend, Kim Valdez. It's called Blues and Bones. Dustin Perry's going to be there. Coyote Chris and I are going to be there, and Brian Murray. And the whole idea of that event is to play the music to get that energy going and see if that does enhance the paranormal activity there. So it's going to be a really interesting event and experiment on August 22nd.
We do have a question about it from Tom McNicholas. He asks, if you buy a $50 pass and it has to be canceled, do you get a refund?
Yeah. If we have to cancel the event, then yeah, that'll be refunded. Sure.
And so there you go. You're covered, and more than likely, most everything goes through PayPal?
Yeah, everything's going through PayPal, and I would just reimburse it through PayPal.
So easy peasy. So, and you know what? We're at our first break. Everyone, you're listening to Mike Ricksecker from Haunted Road Media and many other things. So you'll be hearing all about it, I promise. And we will be back with him. And you're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. So you guys, if you got any questions, please put them in the chats, and I will make sure that I ask them, because you know what? Mike's an open book. He writes them, but he's also an open book, and he'll answer your questions very good, very clearly. So come on back now.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, come on. I'm Southern, but... Nope. That'll do. Hello. I am Kat Hobson, host of Paranormal Experience here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I enjoy having guests from all areas of the paranormal, from ghosts to ufology to cryptids and beyond. You'll find some of the best researchers in their fields bringing you some great information. Join me on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 p. Eastern here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
The time is 23 minutes after the hour.
Welcome back to the Paranormal Pride. I'm your host, Denise Pridemore, and my guest tonight is Mike Ricksecker from Haunted Road Media, and he's also going to be doing all kinds of fun things this year that we're going to hear all about. If you watched any of the Alaskn Triangle, you got to see him on, how many episodes was it? Was it 3 or 4? Well, they did them 2 hours at a time, so yeah.
Yeah,
we saw you.
Yeah, it was a little weird the way they ended up doing that. It was supposed to be 10 one-hour episodes, which if you watch it streaming on any of the services like Amazon or Vudu or anything like that, they actually split it back up into those 10 episodes. But when they aired it on Travel Channel, they did 5 2-hour episodes.
Well, like I said, we watched them. Some of it, it was, I'm not a Bigfoot person, so I was kind of like, okay, well, but yeah, it was very interesting. And Alaska is one of those places that we've always wanted to go. So, and I know that you went. It was in the summer that you went, wasn't it?
Yeah, I filmed. Well, it was spring. I filmed last May, but I was stationed there for 3 years during the 1990s, so I was actually pretty familiar with the area when I went up there. So it's, I know what you mean about I'm not a big Bigfoot person either. And so they had both Bigfoot and Hairy Man in the one episode that was actually my big feature, which was the very end of the last half of the last episode, is actually titled The Alaskan Bigfoot. In the first half of the episode is it's Cliff Barrickman, and he's searching for Bigfoot, which, I mean, he's a good guy and everything. And, they have some interesting evidence from up there about it. But I was on a podcast for the UK earlier today, and, he's asking about the Alaska Triangle. He saw that was one of my episodes, the Alaskan Bigfoot. So he starts asking me a bunch of Bigfoot questions. So I can see going forward, this is going to be an issue.
It could be. At least I know. I know you're not a real Bigfoot guy. So, but yeah, I mean, it was nice to see that Cliff is doing well. Since finding Bigfoot, it was good to see him, and thought that was rather interesting that he was up there, because I mean, I don't know where he'd been for a while, and the UFO stuff was interesting too.
Yeah, it was, and I'm a little bit more into UFO stuff than Bigfoot, but they had a lot of good people on there. Johnny Enoch was on there, and he's a really interesting guy. We had him on our show, Edge of the Rabbit Hole, last week. He's actually in Egypt right now. So through all this coronavirus stuff, he actually made the flight out there, and he's hosting a group. They, of course, have some cancellations, but he's one of those guys that goes these different megalithic structures. Hugh Newman was on there, kind of, same type of thing. He's, a regular on Ancient Aliens. So they had some good people on the show.
Yeah, they did. Like I said, I watched all of it. Didn't watch them live, of course. I always watch everything a couple days later on DVR, and it was really the filming was well done. Yeah, they
put together a good show. I was impressed.
Do you think that they're going to do another season, or was this a one-time thing?
A lot of people are asking me that, and I've been, talking with some of the other guys, and we all hope, of course, that a second season is picked up. We really don't know. It seemed to be a pretty popular show, had a lot of great feedback from people from all over, and it seems like the viewers want a second season as well. But the way that Travel Channel treated the show, it was originally supposed to be on in October, and it was supposed to be part of their Ghostober lineup, and then they postponed it till the beginning of November, and then they postponed it all the way to February, and then when they finally put it on in February, they shortened the season down from 10 weeks to 5 and did, those long 2-hour episodes. So it's like, at the outset, I don't think they thought a lot of the show, but apparently they're doing a lot of reruns right now. They keep airing it because it sounds like it had a pretty positive review. So you never know. Maybe they will pick it up. I haven't heard anything from the production company yet, Wild Dream Entertainment. Mm-hmm. They're out of the UK, but I hope we hear something positive.
Well, another thing that's going by the wayside right now is live filming of anything. So that's because they even said that they stopped filming on Supernatural. Yeah, and this is their final season. It's like, no, you can't do that. So a lot of these live shows aren't going to be filmed because there's so many people on the sets. I mean, you don't see all the people. People don't realize how many people are in the background. Yeah. There's a ton, yeah. Even with, you when you did Ghost Adventures, you're going, that's not just the three of them.
Right. Yeah, there's a crew.
Yeah, there's like 20 other people over here. So, people are always, don't really know what's in the back there. So we did have a question in the chat, and I didn't remember who asked it, but I remember what the question was. The question was about your books, and they asked, which book was your favorite book to write?
Oh, that's a good question. It's always a tough one because I love all my books. But there's two that I'll mention. Of course, the first one. that's like your baby, your firstborn, right? So it was a mystery novel, so very different than what I'm doing now. And it took several years to write as I was just getting through the whole actually writing a novel. Even though I'd been writing since I was like 7 years old, and that particular character the PI, Chase Michael DeBarlo, I had actually invented him in high school. So that book was pretty near and dear to my heart. But this latest one, A Walk in the Shadows, I've been working on that for a couple of years, and it's, delving into this world of shadow people has been a passion of mine, trying to figure out and discern what exactly these things are. And I've had so many experiences with shadow people over the years, including my first major paranormal experience. And I collected stories from other people. And it was interesting as I was going through the writing process, how things just kept falling into place. Like even, outside of just my regular research, I do a lot of, reading and listening to audiobooks and all kinds of stuff like that, just on other subjects in general. And I'd picked up Graham Hancock's latest book, America Before. And, I'm just listening to it as I'm driving to events and all kinds of stuff last year. And there's a section of that book, even though he's talking about the history of America, ancient civilizations in America, he's drawing some parallels to ancient Egypt. And there were some things that he mentioned in there about the way the Egyptians viewed the soul, and having 7 parts to the soul. And one of those was the shadow. And he starts getting into detail on this. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. This actually ties into what I'm researching. So I ended up picking up the print copy of the book as well and using that as reference material. So I just, there was just a synchronicity to it as I was doing other things in my life. I was starting to, tie in with what I was researching on the Shadow Person book, and things like that happened several times throughout the process. And
is your book A Walk in the Shadows? Is it more? I would assume that there's a lot more information than you put into the talk that you gave at Spook Show Con a couple years ago.
Yeah, there's more in that now. I've expanded the presentation. I still go over the different, types of shadow people and all that. And some of those old slides where I was like, I've been meaning to break this one slide out into 2 slides. I've done that now.
Oh, good, because I know because we talked about that when we met up with you there at so at the mall there in Mattoon,
mm-hmm.
and because I really liked the presentation, and I liked the fact that you did not go into all shadow men are bad.
They're not, yeah.
And that was one of the things that I'm sitting there going, I keep telling people that. They don't want to listen to me. Everybody wants to assume if you see a shadow, it's bad. It's like, I see my shadow, it's not bad. So it's a little fat, but it's not bad, So I can't assume that if I see a shadow person, it's bad. If the shadow person makes me feel horrible, like terrified or something, then that's a whole different ballgame. Maybe it is, but I haven't had that experience yet. And
Yeah, I tell people now it might seem overly simplistic, but some people are good, some people are bad. Some shadow people are good. Some shadow people are bad. It depends on the particular shadow person. Most of the shadows that I've experienced have been rather benign. I can't really say they were good or bad. They're just kind of there, or, darting down the hall, or, it wasn't doing anything evil. There's only really one that I can think of that was rather, 2 that were rather nefarious, but, it's just that. I mean, the one that we saw last year, and I'm sure Tom McNicholas is down there in the chat maybe, but Shauna and I, Tom, Nick, and Dustin, there were 5 of us there, and watching this black smoke, there's a shadow entity rolling up down the hall to the top floor of Mineral Springs, and it morphs into the apparition of a little girl. Well, I mean, it's a little girl, she's not evil and nefarious. We're trying to coax her forward, and, she just kind of stops there by the one door down the hall and didn't come any closer. But there's nothing evil about that.
It could be, though. It could be presenting itself as a little girl, because we know this happens. Spirit presents itself as a little girl to make you accept it, and then it changes into something else when you least expect it.
Well, we could speculate about that till the cows come home. There could be a generally nice spirit that presents itself as bad or nasty or whatever because it's scared. And so if it puts on this persona of being nasty, then you'll just go away and it can, continue to do its own thing and not be bothered.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I could see an elderly gentleman that doesn't want to be bothered presenting himself as, big bad man with a goat head just to scare you away because knowing, hey, this is a paranormal investigator. They think goat heads are demons.
Right.
so I'm going to do that. They're going to leave me the hell alone, and that's going to be it. So, it happens, and I know that because there's kids that, that's what Halloween's about, dress up as something scary. You're a good person. You're just going to be scary for a little while. So
yeah, and that's why it takes multiple investigations. Keep going back, figure out what it is that's actually going on. So, was this a little girl spirit? Well, there are stories of the little girl being up there, and the doorway that she stopped at was actually the door to the room that a lot of people have reported witnessing a little girl in. Now, Shauna and I and others, we've investigated that room before. Didn't really come across much of anything, maybe a couple little EVPs, but nothing to confirm a girl. Other investigators have been in there, and they have. We had our good friend Rob Guttrow up there a couple of years ago. Unfortunately, he's not going to be out at this Paracon either. But he was there for our first one, and when he was up there, he actually did touch base with that little girl that's up there, and I believe Rob. I've known him for years and trust him implicitly. So there are others that have presented their evidence of the little girl being there. We actually got to see her. So do I think this is an evil, nefarious spirit or just the spirit of a little girl? At this point, I'm leaning toward it's the spirit of a little girl.
It's a good way to look at it. And it is sad that Rob's not going to be there. He's a very nice guy. And
it conflicts with his schedule, unfortunately.
Well, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. So, here's another question for you. This is from Guiding Echoes. They ask, what inspired Mike to create Haunted Road Media?
Guiding Echoes, that's Nicole Guillaume. Hello, Nicole. She has a great channel on YouTube as well, the Guiding Echoes channel. What inspired me to create Haunted Road Media? So Haunted Road Media came about a couple of different ways. So the idea of the book publishing company was something that I had in mind going back to my days in Oklahoma. So a few years before I actually came up with Haunted Road Media. And it was something a few of us were kind of tossing around as an idea. We were already looking at the video publishing. We were already publishing videos under Society of the Haunted and also on my channel, which was just Mike Ricksecker at the time. But we also, because some of us were writers, were talking about publishing under one name, and that was Haunted Road Media, but didn't actually do anything with it until a few years later when I had a lot of people, and one of the inspirations for this over the years is I had a lot of people coming to me over the years asking about writing, about getting published, what the process was, that sort of thing. And so I would give them some advice and kind of throw them out to the wolves. And at some point it's like, well, instead of throwing them out to the wolves like that and hoping they do well, I've been through the process. I know how to do it. Why don't I just, take up that mantle? And so summer of 2014, there was a problem with YouTube back in the day where you could get what they called click bombs. So somebody could go on to one of your videos if they didn't like you and just keep hitting the ads. And YouTube would view that as you're just trying to up your revenue on there. And so they would, throw these strikes against your channel. And if that happened enough times, they would terminate your channel. But that happened to my old Mike Ricksecker channel. They terminated it, and I could not create a new channel and make any revenue or anything like that because it's not your social security number. So it's like, okay, this is the time to create Haunted Road Media. So I created the Haunted Road Media channel at that point so I could put my videos back out there. And I was like, okay, let's go ahead and try this book publishing thing. I've been, talking about this for a while. I had the idea for a while. I do want to be able to help all these people that keep asking me these questions. Let's try it. And the first book that I tried that with was the First Encounters with the Paranormal book, that little blue one. Mm-hmm. And so I just collected a bunch of stories from people and just to see what would happen. And everybody loved it. So it's like, okay, this is something I can actually do. And so, Kat Gash got on board and put her book together. Adam Tillery, Amelia Cotter decided to republish her Maryland Ghost book with us. It's like, okay, so there is, this is actually helping people. This, people are loving these stories. People that, like Kat was awesome because, it was something that she had, she's a little bit older. Something that was a dream of hers forever was to, have some of her writing published. And so, boom, now she has her own book. And now she's actually in the process of putting together another book.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. So it's really fulfilling to be able to help people and be able to do this.
Yeah, it's funny. That's how I found you, was through Kat.
Yeah.
And Adam. But I didn't even know Adam was the one who did the sketches in her book. And it's like,
he was, yeah. And there's a really amazing story with that. So the one story that she has about the little boy spirit, James, little colonial boy. It's it's an apparition that she saw when she was a little girl. And when Adam drew that illustration, and I showed it to her, I sent her the illustrations that were going to be put in there. Actually, that James story was in the first Encounters book before she came out with hers, and we also included it in hers. But when she saw that, she broke down crying because it looked exactly like the little boy that she had seen. So Adam was able to channel what she had seen and drew it, and he's been able to do that for a number of people.
He did it for me, but he goes, you gave me so much detail. And it was before the story was published. And I did find some typos in that story that I did. So I need to get with you on that. But because I wrote it after my collapsed lung and I was still on medication.
Okay.
So I've got some problems with my own stuff. But yeah, that drawing was done 2 years before I gave you the story. But I saw that he added to it, added some background and other things to it for the book. And it's like, oh, that's fine. But at least he was able to remember when I sent it to you which picture it was or which drawing it was. So it made it a lot easier for him to add stuff to it. Because he knew he had it in his repertoire already. He's like, oh, I could just add a couple, this. Hey, I'm done. So,
yeah, he's amazing.
He is. I went to his art show when he did that up at Kansas City, Kansas Community College. And so I've been supporting him since about 2010. So
okay, yeah, that's I guess it's probably just before I met him. I'm thinking I met him 2011. I know it was an event at the Belvoir Winery.
That's where I met him.
Okay,
and also met a friend of somebody else's there that now lives. Lee Ehrlich, a friend of his, Beth Cooper, met her there. Beth Cooper Myers.
That's my connection. I knew Beth through because we had both published books with Schiffer Publishing, and our editor was the same, Dinah Roseberry, and Dinah knew that Beth had spent some time in Maryland and had a ghost story from Maryland. So one of Beth's stories is included in my Ghosts of Maryland book. And when I moved out to Oklahoma, Beth was doing some of those events at Belvoir and in that area. She's doing ghost tours, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And so she invited me up for one of those. We got to
stop, though.
Okay.
We got to go to commercial. We're already a little late. You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. Please put your message or your questions in chat, and I'll get them asked. And so we'll be back with you guys in just a couple minutes.
You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, come on. I'm Southern, but... nope. That'll do. Hello, I am Kat Hobson, host of Paranormal Experience here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I enjoy having guests from all areas of the paranormal, from ghosts to ufology to cryptids and beyond. You'll find some of the best researchers in their fields bringing you some great information. Join me on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 p. Eastern here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Since 1948, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hobson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experienced Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, Birmingham, Alabama.
Welcome back to the Paranormal Pride. I'm here with Mike Ricksecker from Haunted Road Media, and you guys need to check out his book, Walking with the Shadows. I don't have it in front of me.
A Walk in the Shadows.
A Walk in the Shadows. You can get that on Amazon, and can you also get it on hauntedroadmedia.com?
You can go to hauntedroadmedia.com. It'll give you the Amazon link.
Okay. Well, either
you
way,
can get it
you
at
can find
Barnes
it
and Noble and places like that as well.
Will you have copies at the Paracon?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. There'll be plenty stocked up at the Paracon.
Oh, I figured you would be, because I know you usually have a ton of books with you when you go. So you guys are going to have to check that out. And let's see. I'm looking at these, see if there's any questions. Question for Mike. This is from Guiding Echoes. Or I guess Nicole, I guess it is. If he could ask a shadow person any question and know with 100% certainty that he'd get an answer, what would you ask?
Oh, that's a great question. It's going to be one of those, like, what exactly are you, or where exactly you come from, something like that. Because right now we speculate that these are interdimensional beings and that sort of thing. It would be nice to be able to verify that. Because everybody has their theories on what these things are and how they work and how they truly interact with people, and whether some of these, like the Hat Man, or energy vampires and all those sorts of things, which they very well could be. But some people are so sure of themselves, like, this is what it is, this is what they are. But what I like to say is, until we actually sit down with one of these shadow people and interview it, we're really not going to know who or what these things are. And the perspective that I took with A Walk in the Shadows is that I'm going to give you all of this information. I'll tell you what my opinion is, but you are free to make up your own mind as to what you think these things are.
Well, people should. That's one of the things about the paranormal, is that not everybody has the same opinion. And when everybody does have the same opinion, sometimes it's hard to get them to think outside that box.
Yeah, it is. People, people really will stand by their opinions, and I respect that to a degree. But when you're defending something that you're having, all of this evidence thrown at you against, and you're defending it just for the sake of defending it and being right, well, then I think you've kind of lost them. I think we have to have an open mind about these things, because right now there's very, very few things that we know are a fact in this field. So really anything is game. And even in some of the more mainstream sciences, things that, are taken as fact now, may not really be. I mean, there's plenty of things that we end up discovering, later down the road, like, oh, we thought one thing and now we think another. I mean, you just take something as simple as, the world is flat. Well, we kind of figured out that no, it's round. So
At least most of us know that.
Well, yeah, most of us know.
It is. I mean, I'm just glad to see people opening up their minds more to it. It's a ghost. Okay, well, that's fine, but can you explain more? How are you investigating this ghost? If we, like I said, if we all did it the same way, we wouldn't learn anything. It's like taking pictures. Some people take pictures in black and white, and some people take pictures in color, and they both may show the same thing, but they look totally different. They have a different feel, and I think that that's good for people to be thinking a little bit more critically, first of all, about the things that they're doing, and even critically about the things that they're seeing on TV, and maybe questioning some of that some more, and not taking it all as fact. Because I know you as a ghostorian, which is, some of you know that that's what Mike Cosm has, his nickname is. That not everything that's on TV is 100% fact. That sometimes they go with the popular story when, in fact, the real story is just so much more interesting.
Wait. Television isn't 100% fact?
The internet is, though. No,
Right.
No, it's not. Don't take me serious, people. It's not.
You're absolutely right. I mean, take it with a grain of salt, even when it comes to the, the Alaska Triangle stuff. And you look it up for yourself. Find out the information, find out the facts. And that's any of the paranormal shows on there. I take it as, it's for entertainment, and use it to discover a new location.
Right.
Have them introduce the location to you, and then go look up the facts for yourself and find out what really happened there. And because usually what ends up happening is these shows will give you some of the facts. Some of them might be expounded upon. Some of it, you hope some of, there's nothing that's purely fiction in there, but we know that leaks in there. Some of it's been exaggerated upon, or they're trying to hype something up because it looks better on TV or what have you. So look it up and find out the facts.
Right. And I mean, I saw a documentary on TV, supposed to be, I'm going to call it a mockumentary, of Helltown. And yeah, mockumentary.
It is a mockumentary. They were Canadian actors.
Yes, I know. Because I looked at this, I'm going, this is not real. I still have it on my TV because I want to look at it some more and find out what the facts are that they presented as fact and go find the real ones. But I know you also did a YouTube video on Helltown, Ohio.
Yeah, I've been there a few times. In fact, my family, I have ancestors that used to run the paper mill that's right smack dab in the middle of all that. And it's crazy how they presented that show as this is a legit documentary, and it's not at all. It's absolutely terrible. And so, yeah, I mean, my videos on YouTube have gotten a lot of views because of that, which I suppose I appreciate. But many of the comments that I've been getting on there ever since that show came out have to do with all the lies and things that they told, and so it's ridiculous having to repeatedly go back in there and say, these were Canadian actors, the show was not real, and all that stuff. And what I do is I point people to the PBS documentary that was created in the early 1980s called For the Good of All. And you can find it on YouTube, and it actually goes into what really happened to those people and how they were booted out of their homes, the people were losing their businesses, the ridiculous excuses that the local government was coming up with to say, oh, I can just barely see the top of your house over those trees. You got to go. And that's all it took.
Yeah. I've had to deal with that kind of stuff too, being a tour guide. you hear stories all the time. Well, this isn't like it was on A Haunting. This isn't what it was like on My Ghost Story. And they're like, no, because those are filmed in Canada. And, they only did a few things in the area, and then the rest they did in Canada. And they're looking at me like, you're a liar.
Right.
This house doesn't look anything at all like that. And the picture you have of this doctor isn't the doctor that they used in a haunting. It's like, because my picture's real, and they guessed they didn't have a picture. I did. I got it from a person who used to live in the town, and so it's like, come on, people, don't take everything word for word. And I mean, I have to say, the first time I went to some places, yeah, you take what you saw on TV, but then you have to go with, now I see what they did. But yeah, that mockumentary irritated the life out of me when I was watching it. And when I went out and I looked it up, and that's when I started seeing all these things about these actors. And I contacted this guy who did a story on it, and I wanted to talk to him, but he's never gotten back to me. So I'm thinking that his webpage is no longer actually active.
Okay.
So it's funny because, I'm not a conspiracy theorist at all. I have nothing, but it was just an odd story as to why this town, why eminent domain came in to put in a park where people are actually living. That didn't make sense. So that was the only thing for me. This doesn't make sense. Why? And I haven't had any more time to go back and research it to find out more, but I will at some point.
Did you get a chance to watch my videos on it?
Not yet.
Okay.
I don't really, honestly, I'm going to tell you, the only time I watch YouTube is when somebody's live on there. I usually don't go back and watch stuff later.
Well,
but I will.
They say that things are hidden best in plain sight. Mm-hmm. And there's a couple of things that I noticed going through that area that are right there for everybody to see. And it goes right through that area, right where the houses were. Two different things. There's a transcontinental cable that goes right through the area, and the other thing is a gas line. And so I'm looking at that like, well, if they were looking to, run that stuff through there, and they were going to have a problem with the townspeople, which the townspeople did have a history of bucking the government when they wanted to run infrastructure through there. In the 1960s, and this is kind of where my family comes into play, in that area, they wanted to run I-271 basically right over the town of Jade, which is right there, through that quote-unquote Helltown area. And right there by Boston Mills and everything else. Mm-hmm. So this was going to be very disruptive to the town, having this superhighway go right over the top of it. And so they fought that, and they won. And they actually ended up moving the highway and wrapping it around to the south of all of the towns and everything. And so I can certainly see that, government wants to come in or run the cable or the gas or what have you, and they want to do it now as quickly as they can. If they see that they're going to be wrapped up in court for 5 years fighting the town, well, we don't want to do that. Let's just claim eminent domain and get them out of there and run our pipes.
Yeah. Well, those cables are, not as important these days as they were back then.
No, it was
now that we got fiber.
Then.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, I could see where a pipeline and a huge telephone cable. I mean, people, this isn't like a little bitty cable. It's huge.
Yeah.
It's not as big as the one that as the transatlantic cable that goes under the sea, but it's big. So my job again kicks in, but that's I could see where that would happen. But you know what? We're coming up on our top of the hour break. We've got some questions in chat for you when we come back.
Okay.
And people really like listening to you, Mike, and that makes it easy for me. And So that's going to be good. So everybody, this is the time for you guys to go get your moonshine, your wine, your water, in my case, water, and some cheese, crackers, whatever, and come on back here. Yeah. Oh, yes. Haunted Roast Media Coffee. You got to get that. And but you're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. We'll be back with Mike Ricksecker after the news break.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Jack Speer. The White House is calling on Americans, especially older Americans, to remain at home and do their best to avoid large crowds as part of sweeping guidelines meant to slow the spread of the coronavirus. President Trump and his coronavirus task force released the new guidelines today.
My administration is recommending that all Americans, including the young and healthy, work to engage in schooling from home when possible, avoid gathering in groups of more than 10 people, avoid discretionary travel, and avoid eating and drinking at bars, restaurants, and public food courts.
Health officials say if anyone in a household tests positive for the virus, everyone should remain at home. Trump said at this point nationwide curfews are not being considered. Add the delay of tomorrow's primary in Ohio to the growing list of unprecedented disruptions due to the coronavirus. State officials recommending a delay until June 2nd. NPR's Pam Fessler reports absentee voting that's already underway will continue till then.
Ohio Governor Mike DeWine announced that state officials have decided it would be better to delay in-person voting until June because poll workers and voters have expressed concerns about turning out on Tuesday. But he also said that he does not have the power to make the change, and a lawsuit would be filed by affected voters seeking the change, and the state plans to support that action. DeWine noted that officials could not tell people that they really need to stay home while also telling them to go vote. 3 other states, Illinois, Florida, and Arizona, still have primaries scheduled for Tuesday. Pam Fessler, NPR News.
Washington, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser has just ordered restaurants to be limited to on-site service, bars, nightclubs, theaters, and health clubs to close for 2 weeks. The World Health Organization is calling for increased testing for the coronavirus as the number of cases continues to escalate. NPR's Jason Beaubien reports the WHO says countries are not doing enough to find cases early on and break chains of transmission.
The head of the WHO, Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, says countries need a comprehensive approach to addressing the coronavirus that includes limiting large gatherings, tracking down suspected cases, and treating the sick. But he says the most important thing is to get accurate information about who is actually infected.
We have a simple message for all countries. Test, test, test.
The WHO Director General says trying to combat this outbreak without a robust testing system is like fighting a fire blindfolded. He said every suspect case and every contact with symptoms needs to be tested. Jason Beaubien, NPR News.
On Wall Street, the biggest single-day point drop ever for the Dow in response to the coronavirus outbreak. Dow dropped 2,997 points. The Nasdaq fell 970 points. This is NPR. The Trump administration is alleging a foreign disinformation campaign is at work, seeking to prey on fears associated with the coronavirus pandemic. U.S. officials saying they began confronting what they called a deliberate effort by a foreign entity to sow fear of a nationwide quarantine. Agencies took coordinated action last night to deny such plans were in the offing. U.S. officials did not name the foreign entity they believe is to blame and spoke on condition of anonymity given the sensitivity of the matter. Apple has been fined 1.1 billion euros by France's competition regulator. NPR's Shannon Bond reports the tech giant is accused of unfairly keeping prices of iPads and other products high.
The fine is the biggest the French watchdog has ever brought against a company. It says Apple acted anti-competitively in several ways, such as agreeing not to compete with 2 wholesalers. It also accused Apple of preventing resellers from lowering prices and limiting the supply of products to resellers. The accusations concern iPads and other products, but not iPhones. Apple says France's ruling is, quote, disheartening, and says it will appeal. Apple and other tech giants are under intense scrutiny from regulators in Europe and the U.S. over whether they are abusing their market power to limit competition. Shannon Bond, NPR News, San Francisco.
Major League Baseball now says it is pushing back opening day until at least the middle of May due to the coronavirus threat. Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred made the announcement following a conference call with executives of the 30 Major League teams. Major League Baseball says it is committed to playing as many games as possible when the regular season begins. I'm Jack Spear, NPR News, in Washington.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Welcome back to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 5 minutes after the hour.
Welcome back to the Paranormal Pride. I'm here with Mike Ricksecker, and we are going to catch up on all these questions we got in the chat. So This question is from Nick Moulet. He says, would you offer Haunted Road Roast Coffee to chat with a shadow person?
Sure, why not? Haunted Road Roast. It helps you hunt ghosts. I mean, if that would help a shadow person to come forward and talk and converse a little bit, sure, why not? I think that would probably work on a little bit better on shadows that are actually human spirits rather than what I call a true shadow person, which is an interdimensional being. But you never know. Maybe interdimensional beings also drink coffee. I don't know.
Maybe they'll start. Maybe you've found a whole new market.
It's kind of like, the Coke commercial where the kid offers the Coke to Mean Joe Green. Maybe maybe we'll offer the coffee to the shadow person.
And he'll give you a shadow.
Maybe.
Because he's not
or at
going
least
to have
some
a
answers.
drink. So, okay, well, here's a question from Dara. She asks, what is Mike's favorite location to investigate?
Great question, Dara. Right now, I would say Mineral Springs Hotel. We love investigating there, going down there. There's so much history. There's like ongoing investigative work that we've been doing down there. So I've really enjoyed investigating there. My favorite haunted house that I would say that has been an absolute favorite of mine would be the Stone Lion Inn in Guthrie, Oklahoma, which was the Ghost Adventures thing from a couple years ago. But because when I used to live out there, we investigated there a number of times. I've had some of my more profound paranormal experiences there, and it's just like the epitome of a haunted house. I just absolutely love it there. The
and it's
ambiance
beautiful.
is wonderful. Oh yeah.
I mean, we went when we went to Oklahoma City. When was that? It was the year my lung collapsed. 2018. I went down there. My sister actually flew in from Virginia Beach, and I hadn't seen her since my mom had passed. And she went down there, and I said, "You get close." I told Kat this. I tell people this. You get close enough, and we've got time. We're coming to see you. So we drove the 5 hours down there, and on the way we stopped by the Stone Lion Inn.
Awesome.
And lady didn't answer the door, but we did stop by.
So.
Well, there was somebody there, just nobody answered the door.
Oh,
and
it was probably Michelle. Who's kind of the caretaker. So if it's during the week, was it during the week?
No, it was on a Saturday.
But
okay. Yeah, I don't think it was check-in time yet for people to stay at the bed and breakfast. But we went down there. We walked around the outside of the house, took some pictures, and saw it was very pretty. Neighborhood's a little unusual for a bed and breakfast, but all around it was a pretty neat little area. And we found a couple other bed and breakfasts down there, but and this was the same weekend that Vanessa was leaving to go to Chicago.
Okay. Yeah, I remember that weekend.
And
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that whole town of Guthrie there, very historic. I don't know how much touring you did around there. You said you took a look at a couple of the other bed and breakfasts, but straight down the road there from the Stone Lion Inn is the old hospital that's there, the Logan County Memorial that's abandoned now. You have the old railroad station. It's actually been used in movies. the Bluebell Saloon, you got the Black Jail, so all these different places, and then you have that huge, massive Masonic temple that's there.
Yeah, I saw that because we went down through the downtown area and looked around a little bit, and we came back the next morning because we needed to get something to eat, and that's where we ended up stopping, was in Guthrie to eat, and before we got on the turnpike. So yeah, it was interesting to say the least, but I'll tell you what my happiest point was when we got into the northern part of Oklahoma City and there was a Whataburger. I was just beside myself. So, and my sister, I took my sister there because, there's no Whataburgers in Virginia. We also took her to Brahms. So they don't have Brahms either. So, every trip we have has something to do with food. And, so it's one of those places we'd like to go back to and actually check it out because, getting to see the family was the bigger issue there. So they were busy with a wedding. So we'll just drive down here and check it out, and we'll meet them up at the hotel. So it's a nice little area. And I knew that you had went down there for that. And when we watched the episode, we all found out that they left you out. And I know everybody was irritated about that. So, because your clothes were nicer than Zach's.
Well, yeah, maybe that's why. And I was a bit miffed by that because they didn't say anything, and to me it would have been more professional to at least say, hey, we appreciate you coming out, and I understand it's TV, but hey, we appreciate you coming out. We took the story in a different direction and didn't use your part. I could completely understand that, but they didn't. The intro clips showed somebody standing in front of the fireplace with a trench coat. Was not me, but you could tell that they were going to represent me, perhaps in a recreation with that. Mm-hmm. And then they used one of the photos that I gave them of the family that I had found during my research, and and there was of course no mention that I had been involved in research that was my research or that I had given them the photo. So it's like, hey guys, what's going on here?
That's not nice. So, but like I said, I understand how that goes because, things are never the way that you set them the first time. Never.
Right. Well, and there's been a big fallout here from the Franklin Castle in Ohio here recently, and that's like literally 10 minutes down the street from where I work. In fact, I used to have some family that lived not too far from there in Lakewood, and I saw his post on Facebook, and then there were some articles in the Cleveland area that came out after that about his beef with what was represented on Ghost Adventures, and so. Yeah, I mean, people are starting to, say a few things here about, hey, they are misrepresenting what these places are all about.
Oh, yeah. William's going to be my guest on my anniversary show on April 27th.
Oh, great.
So, because I'm really interested to hear what he has to say. I mean, we talked back and forth for a little while, and I explained to him, I know exactly how he feels. So do you. We've been through this. With all the good that came from me getting to know all these people, the thing is my words were still changed, and that irritates the life out of me to this day. And, but there's nothing I can do. Once you sign that piece of paper, your words are their words. They can do whatever they want. So, but yeah, we watched that episode, and, I don't even know how to say William's last name, but like I said, he'll be able to speak his piece on my show on April 27th. Good. It'll be good to have him on, and the Franklin Castle looks like a great place to go, and it'd be very interesting if I ever get out to Ohio again to check it out. So.
Yeah, that's one of those places. It's access to get in there is pretty limited. It's not one of those where you can just schedule a ghost hunt or whatever. You kind of have to know a few people in order to get in there, and I guess Ghost Adventures was able to, but You can definitely, I mean, you can drive up, take photos and all that, but it's tough to get in.
Yeah, that's what it looked like, since I did not find booking information.
Right.
Most of the time you can find booking information. And here's our next question. It's from Tom McNicholas, and you can do this one tongue in cheek if you want. Does Mike always wear a trench coat for attracting spirits?
Hey, Tom. I know the trench coat it's kind of a little bit of a shtick. I've had the trench coat for a long time now. People wonder what the color is. Some people are like, is that gray? Is that brown? I'm like, well, it's actually supposed to be black. I mean, it used to be black. Not anymore. But, I mean, there's like certain seasons in the spring and the fall in which I'll wear the trench coat. And, it'd be nice if it helped to attract spirits. I mean, maybe it would attract spirits from the 1940s. But I like it. It's comfortable. And it is a little bit of a trademark, I suppose.
Well, the few times we've investigated with you, it's been too warm for it.
Yeah. I mean, in June in Mineral Springs, where you're sweating your butt off in that upstairs area, it's not good for the trench coat.
In August, what was that? Where was that? It was
we were at the Egyptian Theater.
Well, there was that. That was in August, but the year before it was in August. We were at the Ashmore.
Oh yeah, Ashmore.
And it was hot in there too.
Yeah, that was pretty toasty in there. Yeah.
Yeah, since it was during the day. If it was been evening, it probably wouldn't have been as bad. But we had to catch it while we could. So,
That's
but
right.
yeah, so far I've only seen you in the trench coat in pictures pictures and on
pictures
YouTube.
and TV. Okay.
So that's been about it. So it is what it is. But me, you always see me in purple. Always.
That's true.
And that's just because I have more purple than I have anything else. So, and I've gotten to the point to where if I don't wear purple, people look at me and like, I don't know who you are. So let's see if we have any more questions here. Tim Schoen says he can listen to you for hours.
Oh, that's very nice of you, Tim. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Let's see. Here we go. Should we ask what Mike's favorite ghost hunting TV show is?
Oh my God.
Thank you, Nicole. So,
what do I have a favorite ghost hunting show?
Edge of the Rabbit Hole.
Well,
I know it's not just ghost hunting, but it does have some in there.
Yeah, well, that's our podcast or live stream show. We have gone live from like Mineral Springs with that show. I wouldn't really call it a ghost hunting show. I mean, I know she's talking about like the television shows. I mean, I really like the Holzer Files. I thought that was done pretty well. Alexandra's been a friend for many years, so I've always been supportive of her work. And the fact that people are now becoming familiar with Dr. Holzer's work is fantastic, because he was put on the back burner for many years. All the ghost hunting shows came out, like early 2000s, and it kind of blew up from there. And so people forgot about it. I mean, it didn't start with a couple of plumbers. People started this past decade now, becoming familiar with the Warrens because of the Conjuring movies and all that. But it's like, oh, there's another guy before them too. His name was Hans. And so now he's finally getting recognized. Yeah, 145 books on the subject, and he was the go-to guy for so many years. So it's nice to finally see him get his due. And so I've enjoyed that show. And what I like most about that show are the historic clips that they show with Hans and the trance mediums and all that. And I wish they would show more of those, because I've really enjoyed those clips.
Yeah, I have Hans' book Ghosts. It's might as well be
the big one.
As big as it can be a doorstop. Somebody gave it to me as a gift, and I look at it every now and then. But yeah, a couple of the places that they did on the Holzer Files, I really enjoyed, because I had been there and had paranormal experiences. One was the USS Constellation.
Yep.
Field trips, school field trips. And the one on Garrett Mountain, I don't know what it's called anymore, but I went there when I was 7 years old, because I went to school in Paterson, New Jersey. Went to school number 5. And it was a field trip that we went on up there. And then my family lived at the bottom of the mountain, so we would go up there every once in a while. My dad would take us to the park up there. And so you could see the top of that mountain from anywhere in Paterson, New Jersey.
Nice.
And so like I said, I had paranormal, when I say paranormal experiences there, I was between 6 and 7 years old. I still remember it to this day. And then the Constellation, I was 12.
Right.
So
Okay.
it's been a long time. But yeah, Hans Holzer has 50 years of experience on top of everybody else, which people don't understand. He may have been a ghost hunter in the last century, but he was relevant through that whole time and is still relevant today.
Oh, absolutely. So, yeah, we can look at it back at his work and, learn a lot from it. And, watching, that particular show, like the Oceanborn Mary episode. Well, my first book, real kind of book on that subject was Yankee Ghost from Hans Holzer. And so, it was like a couple stories in, and I started realizing, oh, these are actually real. And Oceanborn Mary was one of those stories. And so it took me back to those days.
Well, you know what? We're going to talk more about this stuff when we come back. You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. We'll be back with Mike Ricksecker in just a few minutes.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Several U.S. presidents are on record talking about the UFO mystery.
Yeah, Presidents Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan both had UFO sightings of their own, but the current presidential campaign might be the first in which UFO disclosure has been championed by a major party candidate.
DIA, CIA, it moves around, is operating a program to train psychic spies to spy and use their powers against Russia. John Ronson writes about this in The Men Who Stare at Goats.
The first known sighting of a ghost took place right after Abraham Lincoln was assassinated in the late 1860s during the administration of Ulysses Grant.
Project Paperclip, Clinton releases it all in 1998.
Possibly the unequal cooling of its surface.
I say, do you still think it's a meteor, Professor?
I don't know what to think. The metal casing is definitely extraterrestrial.
It's a place where UFO hunters and scientists gather to examine paranormal activity in the region.
Some of the documents, this is bringing Nazi scientists into the United States to work here. So we fought against the Nazis, and it's not, this again is not a revelation. As early as 1947, 1946, we knew some of this, right?
On the paranormal, will we see U.S. President Barack Obama's foreign policy go intergalactic in a quest for gold stolen by aliens? We'll tell you at least how the White House responded to claims the chief executive has been teleporting to Mars. But let's get to today's Capitol account.
UFOs, hauntings, psychic abilities, conspiracy, ESP, cryptozoology. There are many things that remain unexplained in the inexplicable world around us, and we're talking about them here, looking for answers on WBHM Digital Broadcasting, Birmingham, Alabama. The truth is out there.
Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 23 minutes after the hour.
Oops.
It's okay. Welcome back to the Paranormal Pride. I hope you guys enjoyed that little extra break there. And I'm back with Mike Ricksecker, and we've been having a really good talk while we were on break. So I'm going to look and see if we have any more questions. If I missed anybody's questions, please put them in the chat again, and I will get them asked. But we do have a question for you from Carl from Caldwell County Paranormal Team. He asks, what equipment do you like to use when you investigate?
Good question. I mean, I have a plethora of different gadgets and gizmos, and I'm the Haunted Road Media YouTube channel. I have two different equipment videos. One is like our full arsenal, and then I have a video on there for beginners. I mean, honestly, anymore these days, I do like to keep it fairly simple. Yeah, I have an SLS camera and, some other, bigger ticket items, but really, my favorite items to use just go back to the basics. Audio recorder, I have my video camera on me. I'll take some still photos, of course, and just a flashlight. I just... I'll have like a K2 meter or something like that to see if there's any electromagnetic anomalies and see if there's anything out of the ordinary there that could be creating the activity. Any more these days, I like to keep it simple. And I always say that your greatest tool, your greatest asset is your own body. Feel out the situation, feel out the room that you're in. Before you just walk in and start throwing on all the gadgets, get a feel for yourself first. What's going on there?
Yep. That I've since I've been with you, I know that you guys don't take a whole lot of stuff, and with you, so I know I don't like carrying all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, it becomes a lot to lug around.
It does. I mean, when we did the Egyptian theater, I had a backpack full of stuff, and I guarantee I bring stuff and I never use it. So it's just the way that it goes. You bring all this stuff and you end up using two things. So, and here's one other one from Tom. He asks, has Mike ever gone back to the Cheney Mansion?
I have not been back there. We investigated there a couple of times the one year. Our good friend Carol, who was basically running the place at the time, or at least the investigations and the tours and things like that at Cheney, there was, even though she'd been working there for 15 years, there was a bit of a falling out between her and the Historical Society. And, we felt really, really bad for her about it because she'd been so loyal to there for so long. And so we've maintained a distance for now. I won't say that we're never going to go back or anything like that, but we just felt we needed to keep our distance for a little while and entertain it a little bit down the road. Now we've been to visit Carol and talked to her many times, and she's like, I don't care if you guys go back and investigate, so we have her blessing. We've just, in our own minds, have kind of respected that for now, and but we'll eventually get back there.
And Nicole asks, what haunted places are on Mike's bucket list?
Good question. I've always wanted to investigate the Paris catacombs, and I don't mean the public side. I've always wanted to get into the restricted area and explore around. I think that would be absolutely fascinating to get in there. But there's a lot of different places in Ireland, Scotland, a lot of different places overseas that I would love to get to and investigate and check out.
Oh yeah, I bet there's we have a mountain of them for sure, because Vanessa's only touched the tip of what's available in Ireland, and so there's so many places over there that I'd love to go, and food I'd like to try, and all kinds of stuff. So it's
absolutely.
It's amazing.
Yeah, definitely. We have a special guest coming on tomorrow on Edge of the Rabbit Hole for St. Patrick's Day. May Hernan, who runs the Secret Ireland Tour. She's originally from Ireland, goes back over there. I don't know if it's yearly or a couple times a year, how often it is, but she goes back over there to run these Secret Ireland tours, and gets into all these fantastic hidden haunted locations over there. So we're doing that for St. Patrick's Day tomorrow, which should be really interesting.
Should be, since there's no St. Patrick's Day parades or anything like that. There's no reason people shouldn't be out there listening to the Edge of the Rabbit Hole tomorrow night.
Absolutely.
So, let's see. We have this next question. Let's go back to. Oh, also, Mike's written lots of books. When is he going to write a movie?
No idea. That's one thing I haven't really done. I mean, I've envisioned my mystery novels as movies, in other, I guess, fictitious works in my mind that I've never actually put to paper yet. I've envisioned as movies. I've never written a screenplay. So, which is quite different than writing a novel. So that's something a craft that I would have to learn how to do first, and then maybe get a movie written or something like that.
Yeah, because you have to tell people where to go in the movie.
Yeah, the whole exit stage left thing. Yeah, I mean all that stuff is in there.
So yeah, that's a lot of work, because I know I have a couple friends that do movies, and they make it seem so easy, and when I know that it's not. So it's amazing all the things that go into that. So let's see. Let's go back to this. I was looking for links. Let's see here. Another question from Nicole. We all need to go to the Stanley Hotel, she said. So she's got that on she added that to your list. When will Mike schedule Nicole to be a guest on Edge of the Rabbit Hole? Asked Tim.
Tim. Well, I mean, we just had her on maybe a month or two ago. I mean, we'll set it up again. She's been a fantastic guest. So yeah, we'll definitely have her back on.
So there you go. You're getting requests here. Let's see. Let's see here. Got a lot of things going on. There's so. Okay, I guess we're done with questions on that one. So when you decided to write your latest book, did you said, hey, I have this PowerPoint presentation I'm presenting, I'm going to expand upon this, or was it the other way around? You were working on the book and just used part of that as what you wanted to do your PowerPoint presentation?
Well, the presentation came first because I've been doing variations of that presentation for a number of years. And it was always a popular subject as far as like when I would do the presentation, I'd get a lot of people coming up afterward, asking me questions, telling me about their experiences. The Shadow People videos that I've had on the Haunted Road Media channel have always been very popular and have also generated a lot of feedback and questions. And those happen to be a lot of the experiences in which I had. It was with Shadow People. So, on the side, as I'm going around doing this presentation, as I'm creating these different videos, it's this compounding research that I'm doing. And so you get to a point where it's like, I have enough here where I'm a writer. I write books. This can be my next book. And so that's essentially what I did. It became a project of a couple of years, but I think it was probably a couple of years ago when I think it was at Ocean State Paracon when I had done that presentation there. But the first time that I was at Ocean State, where it just hit me that, I've been thinking about it in the back of my mind for a while, making this material a book, and now I absolutely am going to make it a book. And that's really when the project started to really take off.
Well, like I said, I saw the presentation a couple years ago, and I thought it was very, very well done. In fact, I'm pretty sure, actually, I taped it on YouTube Live for everybody to see, because Shauna wanted to see it, but she wanted to stay at your table,
right,
to make sure that somebody was there. So there you go. So I could probably go back to that date and pull that up sometime, and here you go. Here it is. But that was a very good show. We had a lot of people that we got to visit with at Spook Show Con that year, and just got to spend as much time with each of the guests as possible, without being weird, because sometimes people are a little weird. But we all, and that was the one where we all got to meet Jeff Mudgett.
Yep.
And we had dinner and all that, and since then we've visited with Jeff out in Vegas at his favorite casino, and after we walked out the door, he won good money.
Good.
Jeff's
a great guy.
It was like $1,800 he won that night.
Wow.
So
nice.
But yeah, so if you're ever in Vegas, he hangs out at Red Rocks. So really nice casino. Probably closed now, but but yeah, it was fun sitting there, sitting with him there, and then we got to visit again in Vegas, and then he's reached out to me a couple times about some projects that he's doing, and it's like, well, that's always nice to be reached out to, because I don't usually have serial killer type stuff come my way. Because I'm really not into that, but I do have that in my past. And so, every once in a while, something will come up and he'll send me a message and, hey, would you like to do this? And so it's always nice to be thought about. But yeah, you did a really great interview with him, you and Vanessa, on Bloodlines and the stuff after the American Ripper series ended. And
yeah, we had him on a couple times. The first time was directly after the series had ended, and then we had him on again last year as he was kind of breaking down into some other things that had come out since the show had ended. And Vanessa had noticed some things about the photographs of the of the dental casts.
Mm-hmm.
And so that has kind of really snowballed here as far as her expertise, because she's been working in dentistry for over 20 years. So that was a really interesting interview that we did with him there.
It was, and I really enjoyed that. Mostly because, here I know all three of these people, and it's handy, and I know the book, and I knew the show. In fact, you can get it on Dish Network. They have it on demand. So if people are looking for American Ripper, it's out there on Dish Network on demand. And Ron, when Jeff did his presentation at the event, Ron had never seen the show, and he goes, well, why do I want to listen to this? He's just going to be talking about the show. I said, no, he's not. I said, it has nothing to do. I said, it has a little bit of something to do with the show, but it's more, you can walk into this and listen to it and not think, oh my goodness, I don't know what in the heck he's talking about. It's not like coming in on season 7 of Supernatural and trying to figure out what happened 7 seasons before. You could walk right in and enjoy it. And that's one of the things that, if anybody ever gets a chance to hear Jeff Mudgett speak, go. It is excellent. Same as Mike. If Mike's going to speak, you need to go and listen. And I didn't get to hear him at last year's Spook Show Con because I was running around taking care of stuff. But the year before, like I said, I did, and I never get to hear you at Mineral Springs. Did you?
Well,
do you
I don't
speak
present
at Mineral Springs?
No, I don't present at Mineral Springs because I'm running around doing so many other things, and we only have so many speaker slots. It's like one of the most difficult things with putting the event together is you have all these great people that are there and only so many speaker slots. So I don't take up one of those slots.
Yeah. It's horrible when they. Go ahead.
I was going to say, the last time I did Spook Show Con, I was doing history and the paranormal. I wasn't doing shadow people. Although this year, This year, I'm doing Shadow People again, but I've revamped it a little bit and added more stuff from the book, so it'll be different.
Well, like I said, I can't wait to see what you got to say. Everybody, this is our last break. So this is your last chance to put your questions out there in chat for me to make sure that we get those questions asked. So you're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. Hopefully we'll be back in a couple minutes.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, come on. I'm Southern, but... nope. That'll do. Hello. I am Kat Hobson, host of Paranormal Experience here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I enjoy having guests from all areas of the paranormal, from ghosts to ufology to cryptids and beyond. You'll find some of the best researchers in their fields bringing you some great information. Join me on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 p. Eastern here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Since 1948, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hobson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experienced Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 45 minutes after the hour.
Welcome back to the Paranormal Pride. I'm your host, Denise Pridemore, and we are talking with Mike Ricksecker. And our 2 hours are almost up, and it doesn't even seem like it's been that long. So if you guys have any questions whatsoever, let me know. I'm looking at the other chat, and I don't see any in there, but I did share all your links in both the chats. So before we get any further, how can people find Mike Ricksecker?
Yeah, you can find me at MikeRicksecker.com, also at HauntedRoadMedia.com, of course on Facebook and Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. I'm all over social media. You can also find me at the Haunted Road Media YouTube channel and the Edge of the Rabbit Hole YouTube channel as well. We ended up giving Edge of the Rabbit Hole its own YouTube channel, so be sure to subscribe to both, because we'll go live tomorrow from Edge of the Rabbit Hole, but then all of our other uploads are on Haunted Road Media.
And so, let's see. And then for tickets for the event for the Haunted Road Media Paracon at Mineral Springs 2020, you just go to hauntedroadmedia.com and click on the link.
Yeah, absolutely. So you go to hauntedroadmedia.com. It kind of shows up there at the bottom because at the top we got a bunch of book links and stuff like that. But if you just scroll down a little bit, you'll see the full description for the Paracon and the different ticket options, which we have a few. I mean, there's a Friday only. There's the Saturday Paranormal Investigation. There's the just regular $5 daytime pass for for Saturday. You can do some different combos like Friday night, Saturday day. No Paranormal Investigation. Of course, there's the Paranormal Investigation. And then there's the all-weekend pass, which just gives you everything. So we tried to give options depending on the way people wanted to do things.
Yeah. You have a lot more options than you did the last two events. And for this event is getting bigger and bigger every year. And so, and it's amazing that it's still only $5. to do the actual Paracon.
Yeah, we try to make it affordable for people to get in there and get the information and visit the vendors. I mean, we want people to be able to spend money at the vendor. So $5 gets you in the door. That helps to compensate us a little bit for putting it on. But we want you to be able to spend your money with the vendors.
I like that. I like the way you do the event. I feel like I'm not already down so much, that I'm not going to get it back. And I also feel like I can leave and come back, and go get something to eat down. Well, got to go to White Castle. It's just the way it is. That's just I like Spirits. I mean, I like down the street, the Raging Cajun, but they're not open until after 4:00. So got to go to White Castle. And I don't even know if it's still called the Raging Cajun. That tells you something. Because every time we come to town, we have to work. And I don't think I've ever been there except maybe that first time to your event that I couldn't work or that I didn't work. So,
gotcha.
Let's see. Okay. Do you have any boogeyman stories? When Wendy Schindler asks.
Any boogeyman stories?
Yeah.
Interesting question. So I guess, I mean, not really. It's not like I've experienced a boogeyman. I mean, my big thing was the shadow person. And I mean, I saw a couple shadow people growing up. I'm trying to think here. So there was something, but that's not really a boogeyman thing. When I was even younger than the shadow person, there was a possible, I say possible because I was so young at the time, short, squat apparition that was kind of blinking in and out, fading in and out. I ended up at that age, I called it a blinking gorilla. My dad cracks up about it because he says, I came down from the bedroom. We were staying at my grandparents' house, and I walked up to my grandfather who was sitting at the kitchen table drinking his coffee, eating his bacon and eggs, and reading his newspaper. And I said, "Grandpa, I hate to inform you of this or whatever it was, but you have a blinking gorilla in your bedroom upstairs." So it's not really a boogeyman, but I mean, I used to spook myself watching Scooby-Doo when I was little and stuff like that. That's probably about the closest I could get to a boogeyman.
I think as children, it didn't matter what we saw. We probably thought in our minds that was the boogeyman we were told about.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know if you ever saw it. It was called Dot and the Kangaroo. It was on, I know HBO used to show it a lot in the early 80s. And I mean, basically, it was a kid's show from Australia where this little girl she was lost in the woods, and she befriended this kangaroo who had lost her little Joey. And so, the kangaroo was kind of using the little girl to supplant the child that she had lost for a little while and help the girl find her way home. But in the middle of this show, they found this cave. It would start storming and everything. They go inside of this cave and they see all these different cave drawings that the Aboriginals had put up there. And they tell the story of the bunyip, which is a native Aboriginal kind of a boogeyman cryptid type story. And they just had a little, they had this little creepy song that went with it, and these kind of, almost like distorted graphics to kind of depict this bunyip thing. And so there was a point in time where I thought the bunyip was going to jump out of the linen closet in the bathroom.
We were told, this was in New Jersey, that we were told that if our foot hung off the bed, that the devil under the bed was going to get me.
Oh, okay. There you go.
So needless to say, guess what? No part of my body hangs off the bed to this day. But it was my dad's way of keeping us in bed. Because, sure, as little kids, they put you to bed, you get up, you go run around. And then one night when my foot was hanging off the bed, I realized it was, and when I did, I looked down, and our house had rats, or the apartment we had rats, and there was a rat getting ready. I swore it was getting ready to bite my foot. It was probably just walking by, but yeah, but that part of New Jersey was known for that. It wasn't far from the Passaic River.
Gotcha.
So, and it was also by a paper plant, and you know how paper plants are with rodents. They're horrible.
Right, yeah.
It was just one of those things that to this day, I remember that, and he would have been better off telling me boogeyman than demon.
Oh.
The devil's going to get you. Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, here I am. I'm 29 years old still, and been living with that story since I was, 3 or 4 years old. And so I think, like I said, I think we all have a boogeyman story, whether or not it actually panned out to be a shadow person or a monster of any kind. It's still something that resonates with everyone, the boogeyman.
Right.
So, but I just wonder how many kids actually did see something other than something logical, like a shadow from a car or a rat, or like you saw something tangible that changed your life. This kind of changed my life. I don't want anything hanging out from underneath the bed or hanging off the edge of the bed to this day. But it's these stories shape our psyche going forward, and whether it happens when you're 3 or 16, it's going to be something that sticks with you into your adulthood, and you'll talk about it forever. In your case, you are too. Mine only comes out once in a while.
And I have a ton of people come up to me at the different events that I speak at, in which they're telling me stories. Half of the stories are from when they were children, and something that they experienced. Of course, their parents are telling them that no, it didn't really happen, or you just had a bad dream. And kind of the same thing with me when I was little. It's like, well, I was awake for the whole thing. I know it wasn't a dream, but here's the experience. And so, yeah, there's plenty of people out there that are experiencing these things, and just because they're a child, and yes, children do have vivid imaginations, but just because a child has a vivid imagination, that doesn't mean that they're imagining all of this paranormal activity. There's a lot of it that's legit.
Oh yeah, I mean, I know that most of us are told exactly that. You're having a dream, or you don't know what you're talking about, and I had that experience as well. I remember at 4 being told, no, that's not what you saw, and to this day, I can still see every bit of this out-of-body experience that I had when I was 4, and was told how many times, no, that's not what happened. And I was like, well, it happened. I saw it. But, a 4-year-old has no credibility.
Right, exactly.
No matter how much they tell the truth and how honest they are, parents can't accept some of the things that comes out of their mouth. As a parent, I did the same thing. I knew our house was haunted, and I just said, oh, it's okay. It'll go away, and I just downplayed it because I didn't want my kids to be scared. Guess what? My kids aren't scared. So, but it is what it is. And, do any of your children have paranormal experiences? Are they even interested in the paranormal?
My daughter was there for a while. She, when she was about 16 years old, she went on some of the paranormal investigations with me when I was running the team in Oklahoma. She has had experiences. She does believe in the paranormal, but she doesn't do anything with that anymore. It's kind of a mixed bag with them. Like my middle son will say that he doesn't, believe in that sort of stuff, but he's kind of that age where he's just disbelieving everybody right now. So,
anytime between 12 and 21.
Yeah. Well, he's what is he now? 22? 20? No, he's 23. Jeez, I grew up fast.
Well then he's a little behind the times, because most kids, once they get out on their own, they're like, I should have listened to mom and dad, or at least one of us. When my daughter moved out was when she started going, you were right. I was like, I didn't say this stuff just to hear my own voice. So
right, exactly.
So, So what are the next events that you know that you're going to be at? Because I know that some of the events you were going to be at have been postponed or canceled.
Yeah, the one from the end of this month, Phenomenology, got canceled. So as far as I know, the one at the end of April, 25th to 26th in Dubuque, Iowa, is the Paranormal and Psychic Expo that Kelly McCarville puts on. As far as I know, that is still on. And then the Paracon at it's Ohio State Reformatory, May 2nd and 3rd. They have said, and they just updated a couple of days ago, they have said that they're still on. So we should be good to go for those couple events as long as stuff stops getting canceled and we're able to get this thing turned around here in the next few weeks.
Yeah, it's kind of hard. Everybody has to keep in mind that some of these dates are tentative right now. They've already moved. Let's see, the one in Oklahoma, HanaCon in Oklahoma or in Omaha. They moved that to the same weekend as the Van Meter Festival. So September 26th, they moved it to. So because it was like first weekend in April, I believe, or maybe the last weekend in March. So it was just coming up here. So they've already moved that just to be on the safe side. So, and Kelly McCarville was going to be at that, and because I was just talking to her last Wednesday. So
okay,
it's interesting watching all these moving parts and trying to figure out what's next. And I'm
just playing it by ear right now and seeing what happens. I have my son graduates high school this year, and his graduation is supposed to be May 15th. And so it's one of those, okay, are they going to push back the graduation ceremony? Because that's something that they book a year ahead of time, and they actually have that at the arena at University of Oklahoma in Norman, where the Sooners play. And so, that gets booked up by high schools all over the area out there. So it's a little hard to just move everybody like that. So I don't know yet. I mean, it could get moved, and it conflicts with. I'm just hoping it doesn't get moved like exactly a month and conflict with the Paracon, with the 100 Road Media Paracon. That would not be good.
No, that wouldn't. But hopefully it doesn't. If it happens, it happens. There's not much we can do except smile and go, okay,
right,
grit our teeth. But yeah, there's a lot of things that are going on. I would like to thank you so much for coming on. I look forward to seeing you in June. Should it happen, I'm counting on it right now. So, and I know everybody else is looking forward to seeing you. Next week, my guest will be someone special because I wasn't going to be here. And so now I'm looking for a good guest. I have 4 or 5 prospects just waiting on somebody to answer me, and I will surprise you guys with that next week. So hopefully you'll be back Monday, 7 p.m. Central right here on WBHM-DB.com. And I'll be waiting for you. And thank you so much, Mike.
Yeah, thank you again, Denise. I always love being on your show.
Thank you.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk only on Paranormal Experience Radio. Broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.